Susan Hall joins us now. Thank you for coming on. Can I ask you, why do you think an apology is important? Susan Hall, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. I was trying to establish yesterday exactly when he was informed about the background of Chris Kaba. He, of course, said he couldn't remember, which we all know is absolute nonsense. When something like this happens, councillors, if it happens in your borough, we're informed so that we know how to respond. He would have known, but he wouldn't admit to when he was told or how much he was told. Some of the press releases you played earlier, him saying, that Chris had his life in front of him, and all of those things I can accept, but there was no balance. He never mentioned the officer that was then under massive scrutiny, quite right, but there was no balance whatsoever. And his own office for the MOPAC, which is the Mayor's Office for Policing, I mean, there was always this hint that there was a racial motive to the shooting, which was absolute nonsense. So for 2 years, that poor police officer has not been supported by the Police and Crime Commissioner, which of course is Sadiq Khan.
You're not alone in raising concerns. You're probably aware that the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, has criticised, quotes, people in positions of authority, close quotes, who supported Chris Kaba and, I quote again, emboldened those who work against the public. Sir Mark doesn't mention the London Mayor. Do you think he's directing that towards him, Susan Hall?
Well, it would only be for him to answer that. And obviously he couldn't literally say it or he'd be out of a job, I'm sure. The police themselves are so unhappy about this. They feel so let down by so many people, to be honest with you. I feel so sorry for that police officer. He's got a £10,000 bounty on his head. I suspect he'll have to go into hiding for many years. This is a very dangerous gang. His name should never have come out. Now, that wasn't down to Sadiq Khan. That was down to the courts. His name should never have been released. Unless, of course, he had been found guilty. That was different. But it's amazing, isn't it? The jury quite rightfully did not know the background to Chris Kaba. That was right. But it only took them 3 hours to come to a verdict, a unanimous verdict. It's amazing with Sadiq Khan, with all the information he had at hand from the beginning, didn't realise that he should be far more balanced in his comments.
Lastly, and the easy way to answer this, Susan, is to say ask him, but he won't speak with me. Why do you suppose Mayor Khan won't apologise?
Oh, he'll blame you know this, Nick. How many years have we watched this? He will blame everybody else for anything that go wrong. If only sometimes he'd say, I've got this wrong. His chief executive was saying the most dreadful thing, one-sided things right from the beginning. I took her to task over it, and she said that they thought they'd got their messaging correct. The messaging was not correct from the start. I brought it up with the chief executive of the GLA. Nobody would listen. It was just disgusting. 2 years the police have had to listen to him going on about this, and of course many people knew about the background of Chris Kaba before it came out, but of course there was a block on it from being reported, which is fair enough. But if you go back to some of Sadiq Khan's quotes, absolutely disgusting, no balance in there at all. And Nick, we have got to start looking after our police officers. When they do something wrong, yes, throw the book at them, but innocent until proven guilty. That is not the case in this particular instance, and it's an utter disgrace.
Grateful for your time. Susan Hall, Conservative member of the London Assembly, importantly in the context of our conversation, chairs the Police and Crime Committee at City Hall.